So what a great pleasure it is to hang out with UB40 this morning. Who knew this would be my Saturday?
Well, thank you for having us.
Good things come to those who wait.
Absolutely.
You don't have to wait too long for UB40 because we're always here in South Africa, you know.
I was about to say.
We love it here. We did for 10 years in the old days. We upheld the cultural boycott and we refused to come to South Africa even though we were invited. But until Mr. Mandela was released, you know. And then when he was, we came and we've been coming back regularly ever since, you know, and we love it here.
And your South African fans are absolutely grateful, I'm sure, because they look forward to these moments. I mean, your music is part of so many people's lives and you know, and their journey of growing up.
Well, that's what happens when you're old legends like us, you know. It's really, it's our tenacity. We just refuse to go away, you know. And, there's now 2 generations, I think 3 generations at our gigs, you know. Old people, young people, one's in the middle.
Yeah, which is great news. You know, it just means that like it's always fun to see like little teenagers who wasn't even born when half the records that we were singing. But it's purely and simply because they've had to listen to their parents' records.
Yeah, they were indoctrinated, weren't they, by their parents?
And so it's great. You know, it means that we've got an evolving audience constantly. You know what I mean? Which is fabulous.
Yeah, it's always nice when your music can transcend generations and bring you a new youthful audience that may not have been familiar because they didn't grow up in the time.
Yeah, I mean, we landed in the Solomon Islands, you know, in the South Pacific, and we were met by what you can only describe as bushmen, you know, naked with bones to their noses and all this, and they came and greeted us at the aeroplane. And then they whipped out their panpipes and started doing UB40 tunes. and you're thinking, how did that happen, you know? These men from the bush. But I suppose that's the power of radio and MTV and all those things, you know.
And then they used to say that music video killed the radio star. Such lies.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So what has been the success story behind the group? What do you think it is that you attribute your success to? Mickey, these two clearly outweigh you in the talking department.
They use all my answers all day long, so I don't have to say anything.
He's our guru. He tells us what to say and we repeat it for him.
And you repeat it.
Complete nonsense, you can imagine.
If there is a secret, it's just the fact that we chose reggae music, and you have to understand that back in 1978, reggae music wasn't as big as it is today.
It was a niche music. Reggae is very young, you know. Yeah. It only actually came into existence in about 1968, which is, 11 years before I started the band, you know. So it was a baby music then. Before that it was called rocksteady, and before that it was called ska, you know. And ska came around in the 60s. And that, we were too young to be there, the ska thing. But there was a ska revival in the 80s with the Specials and the two-tone movements, yeah. And we sort of pretended we were part of that, just to get gigs. But we were always a reggae band and never been part of a ska revival, you know. And yeah, like Mickey said, there's no secret to our success. It's because we chose reggae, and reggae is universally loved, you know, and it's very influential, you know. We go all around the world and we listen to the music of the streets, and it's all informed by reggae, you know. I mean, right now, reggae is more influential on contemporary music, you know, than ever before, you know.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
So very true, and I guess it speaks volumes to when people say you got to stick in your lane and do what you're authentic to, because that's where success will truly meet you.
What you do easiest, and if you're truthful, if what you're doing is 100% and not false, nobody can trip you. You can never trip yourself up, or you can never be tripped up.
It's like doing interviews, you know. If you just tell the truth, you'll be okay. But if you start, embroidering and reinventing yourself and lying, you'll get caught out, you know. It's like life, I guess.
Very true. Yeah. So now, can you guys tell me the backstory about this great exodus that happened in the group? You left first.
Yeah, well, it was my group.
Mickey,
I started the band back in '79, and I started it to promote reggae because I'd grown up loving reggae music. And after 28 years and 24 albums, I decided to leave because I was having problems with the management. It's old news now. So I left, and Mickey left with me for the same reasons that I left. And Astro joined us about 6 years after that, when the remaining members of UB40 that we call the Dark Side, they decided to do a country album.
How amply known the Dark Side.
Yeah, the Dark Side did a country album, and Astro went, I'm going back with Ali and Mickey.
That was the final straw. I too had been having problems with management and the direction that the band was taking the music in. And at the end of the day, you've got to be able to look at yourself in the mirror, you know what I mean? And there's no way I could stand on stage and pretend that all was good in the garden.
Yeah.
When, never been about promoting country music, it's always been reggae music, and that's the mission we started on.
Yeah.
And that's a mission that we're still on to this day. So, I had no choice. I had to leave. It's as simple as that, and it was the best move that I ever made.
Well, what that meant was that we had the reunion that all the fans were waiting for, and that's why we're on the road again now and having a bit of a renaissance. It's because the fans going, right, Wicked, Ali and Astro are back together, and
let's rock it out.
That's why we're here,
Now, do you remember where you were the first time you heard your first single? As I look at Mickey, who's going,
Yes. We were working nights at Cadbury's Chocolate Factory.
You're working at Cadbury's Chocolate Factory?
Yeah, Mickey and I.
All three of us have worked together.
We used to make them Easter eggs. Oh yeah. What happened was I was threatened with a rehabilitation centre because I'd been unemployed since I was thrown out of school, which was about 3 years. And so after a while, with my UB40 card, they said, no, you've got to get a job, or we're going to send you to a rehabilitation centre, which is when they get you up at 6 in the morning and you have to weave baskets and learn how to use a broom and all them things. So I eventually got a job with Mickey working nights at Cadbury's making Easter eggs.
I got him the job.
Yeah, and that's when we heard Madness and Selector and all that two-tone thing was happening on the radio. On the night shift we were spurred on by that, I guess, to get more serious about the band.
Jeez, what an incredible story, from Cadbury's Chocolates to UB40, the great legend, global status band. So when you look back, what have been some of the lessons that you learned back then as young musicians that you still carry on today that are still invaluable?
The one thing is that we're not in a position to give advice to anyone because this business, it changes, and we are as busy adapting as anybody else, We come from an era of selling, originally cassettes and vinyl, and then into CDs, and we sold, very well. Fifth best-selling act in UK pop history with CDs. But that's all gone, downloads destroyed that.
Yeah.
So now we're all adapting, we're deciding what's going to be the new format, and it could be virtual reality. That's a big thing coming up the next couple of years. We just did a sellout arena tour of England, and the last two shows, the one at the Dome in London and the NIA in Birmingham, we filmed them in virtual reality, and when they come out, they could be, a really good thing for music, or they could completely kill live music. Who knows? Who knows? But it's cyclical, It's always cyclical, and there's something always comes along to make what we're dealing with now obsolete,
Absolutely, absolutely. So your big hit that cemented you as a household band was I Can't Help Falling in Love, right? And that was the hit that got y'all global superstar attention. What's your relationship like with being called legends and fame? Because as I sit here, you guys just seem like, down to earth oaks,
Yeah. Well, we don't take ourselves seriously. We don't even think of ourselves
as... Take music seriously.
Yeah, we take our music very seriously.
Nobody can take Mickey seriously.
We don't consider, we don't even look at ourselves as legends or anything like that. We're just doing what we do, We're just, it's just what we've been doing since, young men.
Yeah.
You know,
We've got our own legends that we look up to, so...
And we were already pretty big around the world before Can't Help Falling in Love, because we'd had Red Red Wine. There was 10 years between those two. And Red Red Wine actually was a bigger single for us because it went to #1 in England and the rest of the world, South Africa, I believe, all around the place.
and then 5 years later.
And 5 years later, it went to #1 in America, you know. So it was a double life for that one. So that was really our biggest single. But our biggest selling album was Promises and Lies, and that sold 10 million in America alone, you know.
Yeah.
And that was the one that had Can't Help Falling in Love on it. Yeah.
Awesome.
So it did help.
It did help, just a little bit. Gentlemen, it's been such a blast chatting to you. But before we go, Mickey, you mentioned that you guys have your own icons that you look up to. If I may just ask, who are those for each one of you and why?
Probably Marley for kicking the whole thing off, really.
For me, it was U-Roy, Big Youth. Yeah, they were my biggest influences, along with Marley, obviously, but for obvious reasons. You know, U-Roy, originator of what you call rap today, you know what I mean? So.
Gilbrain, or whatever his name is, he's great. The guy who wrote The Prophet. Obviously, I live and I grow around reggae music, you know, so the Wailers were a massive influence, you know. But so was Michael Jackson, the Jackson 5 as a kid. Stevie Wonder, you know, the whole Motown crew, you know. But really, reggae is the music that moves my muscle, you know, and it's what I'm listening to, you know, if I'm on my own or if I'm travelling with the guys, I listen to reggae, you know, and there's some fantastic new bands coming out of Jamaica at the moment who are conscious lyrics, good roots rock reggae, people like Raging Fire and Chronics and Prodigy. Nature, yeah man, so there's some lovely stuff happening in Jamaica and all over the world. Reggae's blooming and blossoming. And,
It is.
yeah man, and we're here as ambassadors to welcome everyone to come and have a party with us tonight in Johannesburg.
It's going to be an absolute joy. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on Late Nights. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.